Okay, so today is day 3 of our maps unit, and this begins 2 days of topographic maps. So take out your topographic maps outline to go along with the video, and you're just going to be typing in the blanks or writing in the blanks if you printed it ahead of time. And as always, feel free to pause and rewind if you need to go back and catch anything. All right, you'll notice the background to my lesson is a topographic map itself. So topographic maps, which are sometimes called contour maps, show changes in elevation of Earth's surface. They show natural and man-made features. These are some terms that you will need to know. Contour lines, which are lines on a map that connect points of equal elevation. And we talked about that in our previous lesson on maps when we were discussing different types of iso lines, and contour lines were one of those in a category of iso lines. And elevation is the height above sea level. The contour interval is the difference in elevation change between two adjacent, and adjacent means side by side, so two lines that are side by side. Each one represents a number, and the interval or change when you go from one line to the next tells you what the contour interval is. And an index contour is a contour line that is labeled, and it is bold, and it helps you to find the contour interval. So what exactly is a topographic map? A topographic map is a map that shows the shape of the land using contour lines. It is a map that shows an elevation field, and we talked about that yesterday, how high and low the ground is in relation to sea level being the reference point. Contour lines are lines that connect points that are of equal elevation. They show the exact elevation and the shape of the land, as well as something that we're able to determine from the closeness of the lines, and that is the steepness of the land slope. So as we go, I'm going to point out some rules to you guys, and these are really important things that you need to remember because they're helpful for learning how to read the map. Rule number 1 is that contour lines never touch or cross. So rule number 1, contour lines never touch or cross. And the reason why that can't happen is because a point has a certain elevation no matter where it is. And if you have two lines that are crossing, that means at that intersection point, there are two different elevations, and that can't happen. So they never cross. What is elevation? Elevation we talked about is the height above sea level, and mean sea level is the midway point between the high tide and the low tide. So what is a contour interval? It is the change in elevation between two adjacent contour lines. In reality, what it looks like, generally every 5 lines or so, there is a bold contour line that's labeled with the elevation. And this is done for clarity and makes reading small maps easier. So right here, we have our first sets of practice questions and our first look at some maps, some topographic maps, just a section of 2 different maps. On the topographic map provided, what is the elevation of point 3? So that's Roman numeral 3. Okay, so in this map, we have a lot of labeled lines, not just every couple lines or so. So that makes it a little bit easier to determine the interval between lines. And it looks like here, there's 20 between 1380 and 1400. Go to the next line, there's 20 between 1360 and 1380. Another way to say that would be the difference between the two. And So because we can figure that out, then all we need to do is follow the lines down until we get to the bottom. Now this last line here is what connects with point 3. Okay, this line here is what connects with point 3. So we just have to count down by 20. 1360, 1340, 1320, 1300, 1280, 1260. So the point 3 is 1260 feet. What is the contour interval for the above map? So now we're looking at, we need to find two index contours. So here's one and here's the other. And now we're going to look at how many lines we have in between. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 in between. So then we need to figure out, okay, what do we need to count by in order to get to the next index contour, or to get to the next contour line. So 20. So you can either do 10, 20, 25, or 50. Sometimes you'll see 100, but not really. So I'm just going to start by going, okay, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180. Oh, 200. Okay, so it's 20 is the contour interval. And if you had started with 10, you would have realized, okay, 110, 120, 130, 140. Okay, that's not it, because now we're at 200. And it has to be the same. The interval is always the same. So that was B20. Here's our second rule. Lines that are widely spaced apart show a gentle slope. Lines that are tightly spaced together show a steep slope. So the area that's circled here on the map, that is showing us a, what do you think? Gentle slope or steep slope? Pause for dramatic effect. It is a steep slope. Very good. Great job. Okay, rule number 3. So this is called well, it doesn't have to be called anything. I used to call it the rule of V's, but I don't think you need to do that. Anyway, when you see a V, or it's sometimes more of a, this is a little bit more of a U shape on a contour map, that tells us that there's a river running through there. So the other thing you need to know is not only can you identify a river on a map like that, but it can also tell you the direction that the river is flowing, because the V's point upstream. So the V's point in one direction, the river flows in the opposite direction as the V's. So that is the rule about the V's. And another way to check that too is to just look at your contour lines and realize, okay, water flows downhill, so it should be going from high to low. Our fourth rule, we've got 2 more to go. Contour lines make closed circles around hills and depressions. So they make closed circles, sometimes called concentric circles, and you can find the top by finding the innermost circle. And our last rule, in some cases, such as volcanoes, there may be a valley or depression on the top of a hill or a mountain. And this is shown by a contour line called a Hasher line or a Hasher mark. So it's interchangeably used, Hasher line, Hasher mark. And those are the little lines that are at right angles to the contour lines. These little things right here. So this would indicate a depression or a volcanic crater or something like that. A benchmark is a point that shows the exact elevation, and it is marked as BM on the, I think I need to edit this. It is marked with BM, and that shows you the exact elevation in feet or meters, and benchmarks are helpful to determine the exact elevation. Okay, so a little bit more practice with topographic maps. At what point will the trail be the steepest? So we have 4 options, and remember our rule about the lines being closer together means that it's steeper, and lines being further apart means it is more gentle. So look at our 4 options. Which one do you think is the steepest? And you can pause if you don't want to hear the answer yet. But the answer should be X for the question on the left. And then the river shown on the topographic map flows fastest. So it's not talking about which direction it's flowing. It's talking about where it would flow the fastest. So think about where things would flow the fastest, steeper or gentle. So steeper, it would flow faster if it were steeper. So then that means you need to look for the area where the lines are closest together. And of your 4 options, that would be number 1. So that's F. Good job. Another round of applause. Okay. So now at this point, you just need to start practicing contour lines. If you're a little bit confused, it's okay. For almost everyone, this is something new. So just give yourself the commitment to try to learn something new, and we'll just keep practicing. We'll practice in class today and tomorrow, and we'll get it going. So I will see you in class, and you guys have a great day.